हेलो एवरीवन, होप यू आर डूइंग वेल एंड हाई इन योर स्पिरिट्स। धर्म क्षेत्र पर आपका स्वागत है। इन टुडेज क्लास वी आर गोइंग टू रिवाइज द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिलेशंस अंडर द ब्रॉडर पार्ट ऑफ सेंटर स्टेट रिलेशंस. We have already dealt with the legislative relations between center and states in the previous class. You can go and revise. And today we are going to discuss the administrative part of the relations between center and states. Before moving further ahead, see the questions from polity are certain. There are always something between 10 to 15 questions, and your source is also sorted. Lakshmi Kant coupled with selective reading of Bear Act and PYQ. No test series is going to help you as much as reading your source and doing PYQs. And from this only yours the source is such limited, so limited, and if you do couple it with your PYQ, you will be able to do 80% of the questions asked in the exam with some certainty. So this subject holds so much significance, and the entire focus of the UPSC is over concepts, and we at Dhammakshetra are also trying to build your concepts. So on this note, let's start the discussion of administrative part of the center-state relations. See, if you see the constitution, the part of the constitution dealing with center-state relations is part 11, and the articles dealing with administrative relations 256 to 263. So articles 256 to 263 deals with the administrative part of the center-state relation. Now we will be dealing with distribution of executive power. This is very important to understand. If you do the broader reading of the constitutional provisions related with distribution of executive powers, you will find that the constitution more or less follows the same trend as done in the legislative division of the powers. The powers are divided between similar lines as divided in the legislative part. So we have three lists, right? When it comes to division of legislative power, we have three lists: union list, state list, and concurrent list, right? So we know that on any matters of the union list, Parliament has exclusive power to legislate. So on any matters on which Parliament has the exclusive power to legislate, the executive power of those matters vests with the center. So on any matter of the union list, the executive power vests with the center. When it comes to a state list, we know that in normal circumstances, the state legislature have exclusive power to legislate over any matter of the state list. So the executive power of states extend to its territory when it comes to execution of those legislator. States have executive power over any matter enumerated in the state lists. The question can be asked from here. So listen very carefully. When it comes to concurrent list, we know that either parliament or state legislature both are empowered to make any laws with respect to any matter when it comes to concurrent list, right? But when it comes to executive power over those execution of those legislations, right? That is executive power over the legislations on any matter of the concurrent list. In general, and in general means normally states have the executive powers. States have the executive power over the any matter of the concurrent list. Whether on any matter of the concurrent list, if parliament is making a legislation, but who will execute those legislation? States. Do remember this can be asked. Of course, there is certain exceptions. So please remember exceptions. See, when Parliament is making a legislation on any subject of the concurrent list, and it specifically prescribes in that legislation that this legislation will be executed by center, so in that case, central government will have executive power over that legislation. At the same time, if constitution asks that central government will have, if the constitution specifies clearly that on this particular matter central government will have executive power, so in those cases only on the matters of concurrent list executive power lies with the center. Otherwise, in normal circumstances, the executive power on any matter in the concurrent list rests with the states. याद रखेंगे आप. एक और important part है, then we will revise this. When it comes to, हमने देखा कि on any matter of the union list, the executive power rests with center. There is one more situation where executive power rests with center, and the situation is whenever there is an agreement or treaty that vests certain power or that imposes certain obligation over union government. So in exercise of that power or in the fulfillment of that obligation, the union government have the exclusive executive power. So please do remember this. Okay, so this is the scenario. This is the general डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर. इसके बाद हम एक्सेप्शंस देखेंगे. एक बार मैं आपको रिवाइज करा देती हूँ कि देखिए जो एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है ना, वो लेजिस्लेटिव पावर के डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन का ट्रेंड को फॉलो करता हुआ दिखता है. यूनियन लिस्ट के किसी भी मैटर पे हमें देखने को मिलता है कि जैसे कि यूनियन लिस्ट पे एक्सक्लूसिव का लेजिस्लेशन का पावर किसके पास है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास है. उसी तरह से यूनियन लिस्ट के किसी भी मैटर का एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर, एग्जीक्यूट करने का पावर सेंटर के पास है. स्टेट लिस्ट में नॉर्मल सर्कमस्टांसेस में लेजिस्लेशन का पावर किसके पास है, स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर के पास है. तो स्टेट लिस्ट के किसी भी सब्जेक्ट, किसी भी मैटर पे को एग्जीक्यूट करने का पावर जो है स्टेट्स के पास है. कंकरेंट लिस्ट आपके लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है, फोकस का है कि नॉर्मली डिवीजन ऑफ लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स में हम देखते हैं कि कंकरेंट लिस्ट पे पार्लियामेंट और स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर दोनों लेजिस्लेट कर सकते हैं, कानून बना सकते हैं. बट एग्जीक्यूशन की बात आती है, एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर की बात आती है, तो चाहे वो एक्ट ऑफ पार्लियामेंट हो या फिर स्टेट लेजिस्लेचर हो, अगर वो कंकरेंट लिस्ट के किसी भी मैटर पे है तो उसका एग्जीक्यूशन कौन करेगा, एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर किसके पास होगा, स्टेट्स के पास होगा. क्लियर है आपको. ऑफ कोर्स देयर आर एक्सेप्शंस कि अगर पार्लियामेंट ही किसी, एक्सेप्शन नंबर 1 कि अगर पार्लियामेंट लॉ इनेक्ट करते वक्त ही उस लॉ में स्पेसिफाई कर दे कि ये लॉ जो है वो एग्जीक्यूट यूनियन गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा होगी, यानी सेंट्रल के द्वारा होगी, देन that particular law over concurrent list will be executed by center. Secondly, कि अगर constitution खुद ब खुद ये ड्यूटी कन्फर करे यूनियन गवर्नमेंट की कि ऑन दिस पर्टिकुलर मैटर the executive power will be vested on the union government, तो उस केस में भी the executive on the subject of that particular subject of the concurrent list will be executed by the union government. Otherwise, in normal circumstances, आप याद रखेंगे कि concurrent list में executive power किसके पास है, states के पावर है, स्टेट्स के पास है. और साथ ही साथ सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास एक और एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर है. देखिए सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कोई अगर ट्रीटी करती है, एग्रीमेंट करती है, तो उसके साथ सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट पे कुछ पावर डिवॉल्व होते हैं, कुछ ऑब्लिगेशंस भी आती हैं. तो उन पावर्स और ऑब्लिगेशंस के एक्सरसाइज में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर है थ्रू आउट द टेरिटरी ऑफ इंडिया. आप इसको याद रखेंगे, बहुत ही सिंप्लीफाइड वे में आपको ये बताया गया है. Now come to obligation of states and the center. See, अभी हमने जो जनरल ट्रेंड देखा ना, इसके बाद जो भी हम पढ़ेंगे उसमें आप ये देखेंगे कि जो भी एक्सेप्शंस है ना, कोई ऑब्लिगेशन के नाम हो, एक्सेप्शन के नाम पे हो, म्यूचुअल डेलीगेशन के नाम पे हो, आपको ये देखने को मिलेगा कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने पर्पसफुली सेंटर को सुपेरियोरिटी दी है when it comes to executive power. इन द लास्ट क्लास हमने डिस्कस किया था कंसेप्ट ऑफ फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी, एंड ये भी कहा कंसेप्ट ऑफ फेडरल सुप्रीमेसी यही है कि central government has been purposefully made so powerful as when it comes to legislative power of the state. Same goes when it comes to executive power or administrative relations of the center and state. When you see, जब हम अब आगे के जो भी टॉपिक्स देखते जाएंगे, ऑब्लिगेशन देख लें या फिर म्यूचुअल डेलीगेशन देख लें, यू विल सी कि how constitution has made everything possible. All the provisions of the constitution are so aligned that states are made subservient to the center, whether it's legislative relation and now administrative relation, and in finances also. Okay, so let's start. See, when we read about the obligation of state and the center, firstly there is the obligation of on states. It should be written like the intention of our forefathers is that we are obligating a state. Basically, they are obligating states, and if states fails to comply with those obligations, they are obligating center now to penalize state. Obligation on the center to penalize state. So it's not obligations on the state and the obligation of state and the center. It's basically they're obliging states in certain way, and if states are failing to execute those obligations, then constitution said that now it is obligation on the center to penalize the states. So this is how the provisions of constitution has maintained the federal supremacy and maintained a clear-cut tone of superiority of center over states in administrative relations and as well as legislative relations we have seen earlier, right? So let's start the discussion. See, constitution clearly says that constitution has imposed certain obligation over states. Constitution has clearly said that while exercising the executive power, Constitution has directed the states that listen, while exercising your executive power, that states have to keep two things in mind. Firstly, that your exercise of executive power should be in compliance with the laws made by Parliament. Let me highlight from here only. The two obligations over the states while exercising their executive power. So Constitution has said that states can exercise their executive power, but while exercising their executive power, that states have to ensure that their exercise of executive power is such that it should be in compliance with the laws made by Parliament. Means here the Constitution is asking states to fall in line with the law made by Parliament when it comes to exercise of their executive power, and basically this is general command, you can say, that states that exercise of executive power by the states should be in line with, should be in compliance with, they should be subservient. Basically their exercise of executive power should be subservient to the laws made by Parliament. So this is a general command. And in clause B, they say that the states should ensure that their exercise of executive power should not impede or prejudice the exercise of executive power of the center in that state. So the clause B is of negative connotation. Basically, if you read clause A, it is asking states to do something, so it has positive connotation. And if you read clause B, it is forbidding the states from doing, so it has some negative connotation. And it says that your exercise of executive power should not stop central government, should not hinder the central government from exercise of their executive power in your state. The first thing for, and secondly, that in prejudice means that you intentionally cannot by clear intention, you cannot intentionally exercise your executive power in such a way that will hamper the exercise of executive power of union in your state. So basically The constitution by these two clauses had made states subservient to the center when it comes to exercise of executive power. अब इसको मैं आपको समराइज कर देती हूँ, दो बातें कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने कही हैं और इन दोनों बातों को कहने के साथ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने बिल्कुल स्टेट्स को एक तरह से इंस्ट्रूमेंट बना दिया सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का। सेंट्रल बिल्कुल लाइन में है सेंटर के, जो स्टेट्स के पास अपना एक एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर है और वो एक्सरसाइज भी कर सकते हैं, लेकिन इनका इस पावर का एक्सरसाइज कुछ इस तरह होना चाहिए कि ये जो एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर है वो पार्लियामेंट्री लॉ के लाइन में हो, पार्लियामेंट ने लॉ बनाया उसके लाइन में। और सेकेंडली, इनका जो एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर है स्टेट्स का, वो कुछ इस तरह से ना एक्सरसाइज कर दें कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट अगर अपनी एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर उस पार्टिकुलर स्टेट में एक्सरसाइज करने जाए तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को हिंड्रेंस हो, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन फील हो। तो बेसिकली फ्री फ्लो दिया है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर को व्हेन इट कम्स टू एक्सरसाइज ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर इन एनी स्टेट। ये आपको समझ में आ गया? इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू यू एंड यू शुड अंडरस्टैंड इट। अभी आर्टिकल्स रिलेटेड टू सेंटर स्टेट रिलेशन है पिछले क्लास का, दिस इज नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर अस। अब देखिए, अब हमने यहाँ पे देखा कि यहाँ पे दो सिचुएशंस दे दिए हैं और ये दो सिचुएशंस दे आर बेसिकली इंश्योरिंग फ्री फ्लो। फ्री फ्लो मीन्स विदाउट रेजिस्टेंस, स्मूथ exercise of executive power by the union government in the states, and states have to fall in line with the exercise of executive power of the union government. And now the constitution says that in these both cases center have all the power to give any kind of direction, any kind of directives, any kind of executive orders to the state if center feels necessary. You should mind it कि center have all the powers to give directions to the state in any manner whenever center feels it necessary. And see, these directions are coercive. These directions are not normal directions. These directions come with penalty. They are coercive in nature. That is, if a state fails to comply with these directions or if a state fails to give effect to these directions, then Article 365 Constitution now come to Article 365. Article 365 comes into picture and says that when a state fails to comply with or to give, please mark this word, to comply with or to give effect to any of these directions given by the center to the states, then it would be lawful. It would be lawful for the president to hold, to assume, to construe that a situation has arisen in which the government of a state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the constitution. आर्टिकल 3 से पहले तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने कहा कि सेंटर के पास वास्ट पावर है कि भाई वो डायरेक्शंस दे सकता है, सेंटर स्टेट्स को किसी भी तरह का एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर्स, एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्शन दे सकता है। अगर कोई स्टेट उन डायरेक्शंस को कंप्लाई करने से फेल कर जाती है, फिर एग्जीक्यूट नहीं कर पाती है, तो समझ रही है डायरेक्शंस नॉर्मल नहीं, इनके साथ पेनाल्टी है, दे आर कोएर्सिव, और उनका पनिशमेंट इतना खतरनाक है कि सीधा आर्टिकल 365 आता है पिक्चर में। और 365 क्या कहता है? 365 कहता है कि अगर सेंटर ने कोई डायरेक्शन दिया, एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्शन, स्टेट्स उसको इफेक्ट में नहीं ला पाए या फिर फेल हो गए कंप्लाई करने में, देन प्रेसिडेंट के पास सारी अथॉरिटी है कि वो अज्यूम कर सकता है, कंस्ट्रू कर सकता है कि स्टेट में ऐसी सिचुएशन आ गई है कि उस स्टेट की गवर्नमेंट अब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के प्रोविजंस के अकॉर्डिंग नहीं चल सकती है। और इस अब आर्टिकल 365 के पिक्चर में आते ही इसका आर्टिकल 365 का कंसिक्वेंस क्या होता है? आर्टिकल 356, यानी सीधा सीधा उस स्टेट में क्या लगेगा? प्रेसिडेंट रूल। और माइंड इट, आर्टिकल 365 में अगर आप ध्यान से पढ़ें तो वहां पे साफ साफ कहता है कि इट इज लॉफुल फॉर द प्रेसिडेंट टू होल्ड that a situation has arisen. To hold means to assume, to construe, and for this president don't have to wait for the governor's report, for the governor's recommendation. It is the discretion of the president to assume, and discretion of president means discretion of prime minister headed by council of minister. So these executive directions are of such powerful nature. They have such huge sanctions behind them that Article 365 comes, and Article 365, once Article 365 comes into picture, it is followed by Article 356, and that leads to imposition of president rule in the state. याद रखेंगे आप? I hope it is making sense to you. See, हमने अभी देखा ऑब्लिगेशन ऑफ स्टेट्स एंड सेंटर. देखिए बातों को कैसे घुमाया गया है. ऑब्लिगेशन एक्चुअली तो स्टेट्स पे ही है, राइट, कि स्टेट्स को बिल्कुल लाइन में फॉल करना है सेंटर के, बिल्कुल फ्री फ्लो करना है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर के एक्सरसाइज को. और अगर स्टेट्स इस ऑब्लिगेशन में फेल हो जाते हैं फिर सेंटर आएगा. सेंटर पे क्या ऑब्लिगेशन है? दैट सेंटर कैन गिव एनी एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्शन. और स्टेट्स फेल कर जाते हैं देन 365 will come and 356 will follow. So basically it is a way of empowering central government. So this is not only the two situations where center can give executive directions. There are other situations as well where center is empowered to give executive directions, and in these situations also, if a state fails to comply with or give effect to the directions given by the center, then these are also coercive. The penalties is here. These are also coercive. There is a sanction, and that sanction is coercive. That is Article 365 will come into picture, and it will be followed by Article 356, and the final consequence is imposition of president rule in that state. So now we are going to read. There are other clear-cut situation mentioned. There are 4 clear-cut situations mentioned in the Constitution over which central government can give any direction to the state government, and state have to fall in line. States have to follow the order. State have to execute the command, and if they fail, the consequence will be Article 365 and 356, leading to imposition of president rule. So let's read the first situation. The first situation is that the central government can give any direction related to construction and maintenance of means of communication by the state. This is the first situation clearly enumerated, that central government can give any direction related to construction and maintenance of means of communication by the states, and if a state fails to comply with these orders, the central government then under Article 365, it will be lawful for the president to hold that the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution, and by virtue of this Article 356 will come into picture, and president rule will be imposed on that state. So this is the first situation. The second point where Constitution clearly empowers central government to give any direction is the measures taken for the protection of railways within the state. So central government can give any direction regarding protection of railways within a state, and if a state government do not fall in line, do not comply with or give effect to those directions, then the sanction is Article 365 will come into picture, and it will be effectuated by 356, that is president rule. These two are clear. Means of directions related to means of communication, protection of railways. Thirdly, central government can give any direction to the states regarding education of children belonging to linguistic minority, that their education should be instructed in the mother tongue at the primary stage. And if a state fails to comply with this direction, the consequence is Article 365 gives certain authority to the central government, and by virtue of this authority, Article 356 will come into picture, and there will be president will be imposed in the state. And fourth point, that is clearly authorizes central government to give directions to the state, is for the welfare of scheduled tribes in that state, and central government can give any direction related to drawing and execution of scheme related to welfare of the scheduled tribe, and states have to follow the lines, the command of the central government. So and if they fails to oblige with the command of the central government, consequence will be 365 and 356, that is president rule. So basically constitution has given ऊपर जो हमने देखा that were general provisions, right? कोई स्पेसिफिक बात नहीं की गई थी, बट देयर आर फोर, जब हम आगे देखते हैं तो वी सी कि देयर आर फोर स्पेसिफिक सिचुएशन प्रिस्क्राइब्ड बाय द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वेयर दे empower the central government to give any directions with regard to four matter, that maintenance of means of communication, secondly protection of railways within the state, thirdly for the children belonging to linguistic minority, their instruction in mother tongue at the primary stage of equation, and fourthly drawing and execution of any scheme related to welfare of scheduled tribe. Whenever central government gives any direction with respect to any of these matters, states have to fall in line. They have to oblige by the direction. They have to give effect to this direction. Else, there is a coercive. If they fails to comply with this direction, there is a coercive sanction, and that coercive sanction arises from Article 365, which states that whenever states fails to comply with or give effect to the directions of the center, then it will be lawful for the president to hold that a situation has arisen in which government of that state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of the constitution, and by virtue of this article 365, article 356 comes into picture, and there will be sorry the and by virtue of article 356 president rule will be imposed in the state. So this executive directions of the center comes with huge sanction, huge coercive sanction. So hopefully it is making clear sense to you. See, this subject is not that difficult, but just this subject require your love, your patience. That's why I keep asking you, ki don't run, at least for polity, don't run for tests, don't run. Just read your basic. You are really blessed with two subjects, that is geography and polity. The sources are so limited. लास्ट ईयर का क्वेश्चन अगर आपने देखा हो जियोग्राफी का, दे हैज आस्क्ड सो बेसिक. मेरे पास टाइम हो, I want to teach you geography also, just for the perspective for your exam, not for the from the perspective of academics. And I'll tell you where to focus and how to do. इतना fear क्यों है students में, I don't know. There's so much guidance available in the market on the YouTube. Still there is so much fear. So coming back, polity requires only conceptual clarity from you, and you have to read this subject by heart and by open heart. Keep open yourself with every possible interpretation of the provisions. And when it comes to Lakshmikant, see, Lakshmikant, if you go and read the articles of their act, these are barely, for example, obligation of states and center. This is dealt by an article. The language is there complex. Now we are coming to center's direction to the states. This is also a direct provision of the constitution. When now we are coming to mutual delegation of funds, it is also a provision. It is also a provision in the constitution. What Lakshmikant has this textbook has done कि उन्होंने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के प्रोविजंस को समराइज किया है, रिफ्रेज किया है, कीपिंग द जो ओरिजिनल एसेंस है उसको इंटैक्ट रखते हुए. वर्डिंग्स को भी बहुत ज्यादा उन्होंने चेंज नहीं किया, जस्ट जो एक्स्ट्रा है ना बस उसको ट्रिम किया उन्होंने, और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को थोड़ा सा रिफ्रेज करके कीपिंग इट एज मच पॉसिबल एज इंटैक्ट आपके सामने प्रेजेंट कर दिया है. व्हाट यू हैव टू डू कि आप जब पढ़ रहे हैं ना लक्ष्मीकांत, तो थोड़ा अच्छे से पढ़िए. बहुत सारे एस्पेक्ट्स दे हार्डली touch this aspect of center-state relations, saying it is a part of men's. There can be a simple question asked, right? हमने कल देखा था when we are in the last class when we are dealing the legislative relations between the center and state ki what are the situations where by 42nd amendment there were certain 5 subjects that were moved from a state list to concurrent list. This can be asked, no? Right? And the vesting of residuary power in the union government has been borrowed from Canadian model. This can be asked. This can be a potential question. So be open for new learnings, not through tests, but through your standard textbook. I'll keep reminding you. अगर आप फर्स्ट अटेम्प्टर है तो शायद आप मुझे रेजिस्ट करेंगे, बट eventually it will come back to you. जैसे यहाँ पे as states are falling into the line, but they are constitutionally commanded. There is no such command here, right? Okay. So now we are going to read mutual delegation of functions. इसके बाद टेबल आएगा रिलेटेड टू एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिलेशंस. आप वहाँ देख लीजिएगा कि सारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के ही प्रोविजंस हैं आपके सामने. सी when it comes to mutual delegations of functions, when you see the distribution of जब हम सेंटर और स्टेट के बीच में लेजिस्लेटिव पावर के डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन को देखते हैं तो find it very rigid. Why rigid? Because parliament cannot come and cannot delegate its legislative power to the state legislature. पार्लियामेंट अपना लेजिस्लेटिव पावर जो एक्सक्लूसिव जुरिस्डिक्शन है यूनियन लिस्ट पे स्टेट्स को डेलीगेट नहीं कर सकती है, राइट? सिमिलरली एक सिंगल स्टेट cannot come and delegate its legislative power over state list, right? तो ये जो डिवीजन है लेजिस्लेटिव पावर का ये बहुत रिजिड है. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पावर, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने एक फ्रेमवर्क दिया है म्यूचुअल डेलीगेशन ऑफ फंक्शंस का, या फिर उसको इंटर गवर्नमेंटल डेलीगेशन भी बोलते हैं. म्यूचुअल डेलीगेशन ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव फंक्शंस और इंटर गवर्नमेंटल डेलीगेशन ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव फंक्शन. So what exactly this intergovernmental delegation of or mutual delegation of executive function is? So precisely under this framework, under this intergovernmental delegation, constitution say that central government can delegate some of its executive functions to states. State government, is it that visible to you? I think not. So under this intergovernmental delegation of executive functions or mutual delegation of executive functions, under this framework, what constitutional precisely says that central government can delegate its executive functions to state government, and states also can delegate some of its executive functions to central government. क्लियर है? इंटर गवर्नमेंट डेलीगेशन और म्यूचुअल डेलीगेशन ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव फंक्शन में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या फ्रेमवर्क दे रही है कि टू इंश्योर स्मूथ एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ फंक्शंस, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट can delegate its executive function to states and state government can delegate its executive function to center. This mutual delegation can happen either by agreement, याद रखेंगे आप, और by legislation. ठीक है? When it comes to agreement, so when by way of agreement, जब ये delegation agreement के through हो रहा है, in that case, जब central government को delegate करना है, then president will come into picture and president will ask consent of the states. President will ask consent of whom? States. and if states consent, then central government will delegate the executive function to the states. Clear hai? This is by agreement. There is an agreement between center and states, and that is based on consent that is asked by president. And once the states are consenting, the central government, रजामंदी की बात है, ओके, एग्रीमेंट सिंपल बात है, रजामंदी की बात है, प्रेसिडेंट पूछ रहे हैं कि आपकी रजा है जी, स्टेट्स ने कहा हाँ जी हम राजी हैं, तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के कुछ एग्जीक्यूटिव फंक्शंस डेलीगेट कर दिए गए. सिमिलरली अंडर एग्रीमेंट स्टेट्स भी क्या कर सकती हैं कि सर्टेन फंक्शंस को डेलीगेट कर सकती हैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को. स्टेट्स की तरफ से कौन आएंगे? गवर्नर. सो जब स्टेट्स को अपना एग्जीक्यूटिव फंक्शन डेलीगेट करना है, then head of the state governor will come and he will ask for consent of the central government. Governor will ask for the consent of the central government कि will you execute my certain functions of mine. and अगर central government राजी हो जाती है कि हाँ जी हम एग्जीक्यूट कर देंगे, रजामंदी की बात है, then states will delegate their function, executive function to the central government. So ये by agreement यानी consent, दोनों सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट स्टेट्स को डेलीगेट कर सकते हैं फंक्शंस, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट सेंटर को डेलीगेट कर सकती है फंक्शन बाय एग्रीमेंट, दैट इज बेस्ड ऑन कंसेंट. बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू बाय वे ऑफ लेजिस्लेशन, सी दिस इज एन एक्सेप्शन. बाय वे ऑफ लेजिस्लेशन इज एन एक्सेप्शन टू दिस जनरल प्रोविजन दैट दोनों साइड की पार्टीज कंसेंट लेंगी दूसरे साइड की और वो डेलीगेट कर देंगी. अब देखिए अभी तक टिल नाउ यू मस्ट हैव मेड योर माइंड कि व्हेनेवर देयर इज एन एक्सेप्शन तो दैट इज मीन्ड टू empower central government only, right? So there is an exception. अभी तक सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास क्या रास्ता था कि कंसेंट का रास्ता है, that states have to consent, but there is a way where central government don't have to ask for consent of the state, and that is by way of legislation. Whenever parliament makes any law over a state list and it imposes duty on the states to execute that function, to execute that law, the states have to execute that law. There is no other way, and central government don't have to go through consent route. Then in this case, by way of legislation, when parliament is delegating the functions, so in that case president is not coming into picture. In this case, when central government don't have to ask for consent, then the delegation is done by parliament only, parliament itself. And when the central government is going through consent route, then delegation is done by president. Is it clear to you? I hope it is clear to you. This is very interesting concept, and all the concepts are made to make our federal supremacy stronger. Make the concept of federal supremacy. It is based on the concept of federal supremacy. Anyway, we have to read this. यही बातें इस पूरे म्यूचुअल डेलीगेशन ऑफ फंक्शन में कही गई है. डू रीड इट, डोंट नेग्लेक्ट दिस चैप्टर. दिस चैप्टर इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग and it will boost your confidence in prelims exam, and it will boost your confidence in it will make you ready for the mains exam. Now you know all the provisions of the constitution. You just have to make your current affairs ready, right? So now come to the provisions of the cooperation between center and states. अब तक constitution ने states को subservient भी बना दिया, कोएर्सिव सैंक्शन भी लगा दिए, म्यूचुअल डेलीगेशन भी करा दी फंक्शंस की. अब कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के लगा कि नहीं, कुछ एरियाज तो होने चाहिए जहां पे दो सेंटर और स्टेट के बीच में कोऑपरेशन हो. लेकिन इफ यू सी देयर इज आल्सो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इज केप्ट सुप्रीम, एंड दीज आर बेसिकली these provisions will just revise them, just learn them in brief, क्योंकि in the next chapter interstate council, when we do interstate relations, the entire interstate relation is based on these 4 provisions only, these 4 provisions of the constitution. So one by one we will read them. What are they? We will read them in detail while we will be dealing with the interstate relations. So first provision to ensure cooperation between center and state is given in article 262, where the Constitution empowers Parliament to adjudicate any dispute related to the use of the water of the interstate river and river valley. And by exercising this power of adjudication, Parliament has already enacted Iswada Act. हमेशा न्यूज में रहता है इंटरस्टेट वाटर्स रिवर डिस्प्यूट एक्ट. ये हम नेक्स्ट व्हेन वी विल बी डूइंग इंटरस्टेट रिलेशंस हम इसको डिटेल में करेंगे. सेकेंडली, the second provision that is meant to ensure the cooperation between center and state is establishment of interstate council that is dealt in article 263, that is to be established by president, and its purpose or function is to explore such areas of common interest between center and state and discuss over them. And this council was set up in 1990. देखिए याद रखिएगा, इंटरस्टेट काउंसिल एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बॉडी है. आर्टिकल 263 में बहुत कंफ्यूज होते हैं लोग इंटरस्टेट काउंसिल, जोनल काउंसिल और नॉर्थ ईस्ट काउंसिल में. सो याद रखिएगा, इंटरस्टेट काउंसिल इज अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बॉडी. बाकी जोनल काउंसिल एंड नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न काउंसिल ये दोनों बेसिकली लेजिस्लेटिव बॉडी है, इनका कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन से कोई वास्ता नहीं है. क्लियर है? ये याद रखेंगे आप. दिस कैन बी आस्क्ड और ये आपके पीवाईक्यू भी होगा. हाँ जी, आगे बढ़ने से पहले मोस्ट लाइकली फ्रॉम डे आफ्टर टुमारो वी आर गोइंग टू हैव वन सेशन एवरी डे बिसाइड्स जो भी आपके रेगुलर क्लास हो रहे हैं ऑफ पीवाईक्यू. वी विल बिगिन विथ योर पॉलिटी. माई इंटेंशन की लास्ट 20-25 साल के तो आपको पीवाईक्यू करा के भेजूं, रटा दूं, ताकि दैट विल हेल्प यू. एक बार आप करके जाइए ना, आप वापस आके मुझे थैंक यू मत बोलिएगा, बट करके जाइए और आप करेंगे, मुझे पता है. Okay, so this is interstate council is the second provision. See, there is a very interesting concept called full faith and credit clause. Full faith and credit clause, and it is given. It is dealt with Article 261 of the Constitution. It's precisely said कि किसी भी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एंड स्टेट्स गवर्नमेंट के जो भी पब्लिक एक्ट्स हैं, रिकॉर्ड्स हैं, जुडिशियल प्रोसीडिंग्स हैं, उनको थ्रू आउट द टेरिटोरी ऑफ इंडिया फुल फेथ एंड क्रेडिट दी जाएगी. तो इसको डिटेल में हम इंटरस्टेट रिलेशंस में देखेंगे. एंड फोर्थली, इंटरस्टेट रिलेशंस में 4 पिलर होंगे. फोर्थली होगा फ्रीडम ऑफ ट्रेड एंड कॉमर्स, दैट इज डील्स विद आर्टिकल 301 to 307, freedom of trade and intercourse. So Constitution has authorized Parliament to appoint an authority to ensure that the provisions of the Constitution related to freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse is executed properly. But ऐसा कोई अभी अथॉरिटी अपॉइंट नहीं हुआ है. बेसिकली ये तो एक आर्टिकल की बात हो गई. यू विल डील ऑल 301 to 307. ओके, सो ये 4 पॉइंट्स हैं. कोऑपरेशन बिटवीन सेंटर स्टेट्स इन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव एरिया जस्ट हमने रफली देखा, क्योंकि these are the main pillars of interstate relations. Now come to All India Service. See, we all know we have discussed a little bit about All India Service in the previous class, and I don't want to burden you. So जो important बातें होंगी वही आपको बताई जाएंगी. पूरा word to word, line by line, I am not here to teach you, right? So you should know कि All India Services का constitution कैसे होता है. So when you read Article 312 of the Constitution, it says that all India services can be constituted on the only when Rajya Sabha passes a resolution to that effect. याद रखेंगे आप, राज्यसभा रिजोल्यूशन जब तक पास नहीं करेगी ऑल इंडिया सर्विसेज कंस्टिट्यूट नहीं हो सकती है. एंड वंस राज्यसभा पासेस अ रिजोल्यूशन, only parliament can create an all India service. Clear है? Who is authorized to create an all India service? Parliament. But this authority, from where this authority will come? From Rajya Sabha resolution. And which article talks about this? Article 312. Clear है? See, in the last class, beside this, one more thing that I want to highlight, that in last class we talked about negatives of all India service, that it violates the federal structure of the constitution, etc., etc. But there are certain positive things also. This can be asked in prelims exam, and if any question arises from mains, and if you write these 3 points, the examiner will first read then we stand, then he or she will stand, clap, and then give you very good marks. So mind it that there are three important um, grounds on which all India services are supported, still they violate the federal structure of the constitution. Firstly, what are they? Firstly, that they help. Firstly, that help to ensure uniformity of administration throughout the territory of India. All India services help to ensure uniformity of administration throughout the territory of India. Secondly, that they help in maintaining the standards of administration. Secondly, they help in maintaining the standards of administration throughout the territory of India. And thirdly, they help in building cooperation, coordination, liaison between center and states and help to minimize the friction between center and states. They try to explore the common issues, the issues of interest, so that the center and state government can come together and they work for the betterment of the country, betterment of their people. So these 3 points keep in mind. That's it. बाकी देखिए डॉक्टर बी आर अम्बेडकर का यहाँ पे पर्सपेक्टिव दिया हुआ है. प्लीज आपने अगर पढ़ा है तो ठीक है, अदरवाइज लर्न व्हाट टू स्किप. एक्सक्यूज मी. पब्लिक सर्विस कमीशन पूरी की पूरी छोड़ देंगे आप. Integrated judicial system. In the last class also I talked about it. Why I keep talking? पिछले जितने भी classes, so in all classes I have talked about integrated judicial system. Why? Because this can be asked. Because though Constitution of India has established dual polity. And what does it mean by dual polity? Union government at the states, at the center, and states at the periphery. But it has established an integrated judicial system with Supreme Court at the top and state high courts at the below. Why the Constitution, despite having dual polity, have adopted integrated judicial system? So that there is uniformity in remedy throughout the territory of India. हम रिमेडी के लिए ही कोर्ट्स के पास जाते हैं ना, कोई हमें right? So the purpose is to ensure uniformity in remedy throughout the territory of India and also to eliminate diversity in remedy, जो भी है, right? बाकी आप देख लेंगे, ये सब बातें आप जानते हैं. और बाकी की जज, स्टेट हाई कोर्ट जज को कौन अपॉइंट करता है, 2 और मोर स्टेट्स के लिए हाई कोर्ट पार्लियामेंट स्टैब्लिश कर सकते हैं. ये सारी चीजें हम रिवाइज करेंगे व्हेन विल बी डीलिंग जुडिशरी, दैट इज सुप्रीम कोर्ट एंड हाई कोर्ट. अभी के लिए हमारे पास जितना काम का था मैंने आपको बता दिया. सी, अब हमें देखना है एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिलेशंस ड्यूरिंग इमरजेंसीज. थोड़ा सा जो है सामने आपके उसी को रिवाइज करा देती हूँ. जब हम इमरजेंसी देखेंगे तब डिटेल में देखेंगे. सी, जब अंडर आर्टिकल 352 यानी व्हेनेवर प्रोक्लामेशन ऑफ नेशनल इमरजेंसी इज एन ऑपरेशन, देन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास ऑल अथॉरिटी आ जाती है टू गिव एनी डायरेक्शन विद रिस्पेक्ट टू एनी मैटर टू द स्टेट्स. तो याद रखेंगे आप कि नेशनल इमरजेंसी के ड्यूरिंग द नेशनल इमरजेंसी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट फंक्शनल होती है. याद रखेंगे आप, दे आर नॉट सस्पेंडेड. दिस कैन बी asked during national emergency when under article 352 is in force, state governments are operating, they are functional, they are not suspended, but they are functioning under control, complete control of the central government. Clear here? We are dealing with executive relations only, right? If you read article 356 of the constitution, it says that whenever president rule is imposed in a state, whenever president rule is imposed in the state, the entire executive power, words को ध्यान से सुनिएगा, entire executive power is taken away from the state government. सारी के सारे एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से, entire executive power is taken away from the state government and this is vested in the president. So the executive power of the state government is either exercised by the president himself or any other person, or the governor or any other person authorized by him. So जब नेशनल इमरजेंसी के ड्यूरिंग क्या एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर्स पे इफेक्ट होता है हम वो देख रहे हैं. जब प्रेसिडेंट रूल के ड्यूरिंग क्या होता है कि सारे एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर्स स्टेट गवर्नमेंट से छीन लिए जाते हैं और सारे के सारे एग्जीक्यूटिव पावर किस में वेस्ट कर दिया जाता है, ऑफिस ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट में कर दिया जाता है. अब उस स्टेट के लिए जो एग्जीक्यूटिव डिसीजन है वो कौन लेंगे, प्रेसिडेंट, इधर प्रेसिडेंट और गवर्नर. प्रेसिडेंट इसको गवर्नर में वेस्ट कर दे और एनी अदर पर्सन अपॉइंटेड बाय हिम, याद रखेंगे यहाँ पे. And we have third emergency called financial emergency. So when there is a proclamation of financial emergency in operation, central government states को कोई भी डायरेक्शन दे सकती है. सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कैन गिव एनी डायरेक्शन टू द स्टेट्स रिलेटेड टू मेंटेनिंग फाइनेंशियल प्रूडेंस इन द स्टेट्स. पैसों को सही मामले में इस्तेमाल करना है, कम खर्च करना है, कट करना है. Any kind of direction central government can give to the states and states have to oblige with the direction. Otherwise, what will happen? Article 365 and 356. वो तो normal situations थे ना. This is the situation of emergency, right? So states are almost subservient to the central government, though its constitution said that states are supreme in their affairs. याद रखेंगे आप कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की लाइन यही है कि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज स्टेट्स आर सोवरेन इन देयर ओन अफेयर्स, सेंटर इज सोवरेन इन ऑल देयर अफेयर्स. इसी लाइन पे आप चलेंगे. जहां जहां ये सब एक्सेप्शन है, जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं ना, ये सब एक्सेप्शन है. जनरल रूल क्या है कि स्टेट्स आर सोवरेन इन देयर ओन अफेयर एज लॉन्ग एज कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट वो 5 सिचुएशंस ना आ जाए जहाँ पे स्टेट लिस्ट में यूनियन गवर्नमेंट, वो भी एक्सेप्शन है, राइट. सो आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज मेड ऑफ एक्सेप्शंस ओनली. जनरल बातें बहुत कम है. चलिए, हम लगभग क्लास के एंड में आ गए हैं. इसके बाद है हमारा फाइनेंशियल रिलेशंस दैट वी विल डील इन नेक्स्ट क्लास. आगे बढ़ने से पहले आपके स्क्रीन पे ना आर्टिकल 355 है. व्हाई आई एम हाईलाइटिंग दिस? लास्ट ईयर आर्टिकल 355 से डायरेक्ट सवाल था कि विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग, इसी लाइन पे था. जब हम पीवाईक्यू स्टार्ट करेंगे तो ऑफ कोर्स 2024 से ही स्टार्ट करूंगी मैं, एंड देयर वी विल डिस्कस कि दे हैव आस्क्ड विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग आर द ड्यूटीज दैट आर इम्पोज्ड बाय द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट अंडर आर्टिकल 355 of the constitution, and majority of the population, majority of the aspirants did it wrong. Why? Because they do not read it properly. Agar, see, when you read emergency na, a chapter emergency of Lakshmikant only, when you read emergency 356, there they will discuss the second, they will discuss the constitution has imposed a duty on the central government to ensure that the government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provisions of the constitution. But this is a part of, this is 356b. In 356, this is 355b. In 355 there are 2 clauses and the UPSC gave both of them in the option. So anyone who is, अगर वो BR Act नहीं भी पढ़ रहा है, but he or she is thorough with his this text, his or her textbook, they can mark. What ऐसे ही उछल के पढ़ रहे हैं, थोड़ा यहाँ से पढ़ लिया, थोड़ा वहां से पढ़ लिया, कोई नोट्स पढ़ लिए. कम ऑन, लक्ष्मीकांत का नोट्स बन सकता है ऑफ कोर्स, बट दे शुड बी योर, आपके हाथ के बने होने चाहिए और ये 10 रीडिंग के बाद होनी चाहिए. चलिए, सो हम अदर प्रोविजन से बात पे स्टार्ट कर देते हैं. देखिए, हमने जितने एक्सेप्शन अब तक देखे हैं उनका अगर आप नटसेल में मोटो देखें तो एक ही मोटो है, दैट दे वांट दैट सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट शुड बी ऑल पावरफुल सो दैट इट इज able to exercise any excessive control over the state administration, right? हमने इमरजेंसी के सिचुएशन में भी यही देखा, हर बार यही देख रहे हैं. So there are certain other provisions, वही other provisions हम देख रहे हैं. Article 355 very important. Listen carefully. See, when you read Article 355, it imposes 2 duties on the center. First one is to protect every state against external aggression and internal disturbance. Words very important hai. They can ask this, they can replace this internal disturbance with armed rebellion. They can ask, they can replace this with president rule. So be very careful. Read all the question up to end, all the options up to end, right? So Article 355 imposes two duties on the center. That is to protect that every state, to protect every state against external aggression and armed rebellion. And under Article 355b, you see that there is another duty that the center has to ensure that the government of every state is carried on in provisions of the constitution. And by virtue of Article 355b, Article 356 come into picture. Clear hai ya? So this is the first duty. Please remember whatever I am discussing it. And then we have this office of governor, that is a big instrument in the hands of central government to exercise control over the administration of the state government. The governor is appointed by the president. He holds office during the pleasure of the president. He is removed by the president. But the constitution says that the governor is the constitutional head of the state. Right. But actually what governor is doing in practice, governor is acting as an agent of the central government, and by through this agent, the central government is exercising humongous control over the administration of the state, isn't it? We will be dealing with the governor in detail when we will revise governor. And last, see the Office of State Election Commission. Office of State Election Commissioner. There is a when State Election Commissioner deals with the elections of third tier of government, that is municipalities and पंचायत, उनका ये election कराती है. So when Election Commission conducts election for the three tier of government, and this comes under state list, what is the purpose of the state election commissioner will be appointed by the governor of the state, but when it comes to its removal, the state election commissioner can removed only by the president. Do remember this, that state election commissioner is appointed by governor, but it can only be removed by the president. So why president is doing here what he is doing? So basically it is a kind of interference. Basically it is a mechanism to have certain control of central government over the administration of states. So this provision is also a kind of mechanism. See, now when it comes to extra constitutional bodies, if you have time, you can read them. There is nothing in this that you don't know, more or less, and there is nothing in this कि अब जोनल काउंसिल से वो एक वर्ड में मैं पढ़ के आपको मैं यहाँ पे टाइम वेस्ट करूँ, उससे जब मैं जोनल काउंसिल्स पढ़ाऊंगी ना नेक्स्ट चैप्टर में. So if you have a lot of time, you can read this or you can skip this. See, we have reached to the end of the class. अब तक हमने जितने अंडर द हेड ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव रिलेशंस, अब तक हमने जितने भी प्रोविजंस पढ़े, जितने भी एक्सेप्शंस पढ़े, they were aimed at enabling the central government to exercise huge control over the administration of the states. तो आपसे सवाल कैसे पूछा जा सकता है? They can ask you कि which of the provisions of the constitution enables central government to exercise control over the state administration. और अब वो इमरजेंसी प्रोविजंस भी डाल सकते हैं, 355 ऑफिस ऑफ गवर्नर, ये सारी चीजें डाल सकते हैं, ऑल इंडिया सर्विसेज डाल सकते हैं, ये सब जो हमने पढ़ा है. ये तो खैर हो गया, डायरेक्शंस हो गया, राइट. तो हमें लगेगा कि ओ माय गॉड, उन्होंने 355 पूछा, 356 पूछ रहे हैं, यानी वो हमसे क्या पूछ रहे हैं? प्रेसिडेंट रूल का इन्फॉर्मेशन पूछ रहे हैं. नहीं, वो तो सिर्फ ये जानना चाह रहे हैं कि कौन से प्रोविजंस हैं जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को ऑथोराइज करते हैं, इंपावर करते हैं कि वो स्टेट्स को कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव मैटर्स में. तो यू शुड हैव दिस अंडरस्टैंडिंग. या फिर वो जनरल बातें भी पूछ सकते हैं. तो बी वेरी केयरफुल विद these concepts, and I wish you very good luck. Do very good in your exams, and tomorrow we will complete our financial aspect. See, financial aspect is very brief. So we can have 2 classes of polity. You can expect 2 classes of polity. Financial relations बड़ा दिखता है, but हमें बहुत limited पढ़ना है, as it is a we are doing it on the from the perspective of crash course, कि जो important है उसको हम डिटेल में देख रहे हैं, ऐसा नहीं कि हम पूरा पूरा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पढ़ रहे हैं, राइट? थैंक यू वेरी मच.